They say that the eyes are the window to your soul. Well, in certain parts of medicine, we say that the penis is the window to your heart. Now, you can take that to mean one or two things, but we're going to be talking about this from a physiological standpoint. All right? So in this video, I'm going to explain to you how erectile dysfunction can actually save your life. Stay tuned. What's going on, family? This is your brother, Edward Williams, licensed physician assistant, founder and creator of Health by Any Means Necessary. And I want to welcome you to my channel where we talk about all things Black health improvement, fasting, insulin resistance, and men's health. So if you're new around here, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share this video with your family and your friends, and let's just go ahead and get into this conversation. All right. So in this video, we're going to talk about how erectile dysfunction can actually save your life. And this is something that I've seen multiple times. And I'm going to talk about why just treating erectile dysfunction with Viagra or Cialis is a huge problem, because you're missing so much more potential and deadly issues. In order for us to really, get into that, let's explain how an erection works. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. And I'm going to do my best to make this very straightforward, because it's a very straightforward topic, although there's a lot of anatomy and physiology that goes behind it. So upon seeing what you like, that you find attractive, mixed in with the proper environment and the overall scenario, you will become sexually stimulated. And this is more so dealing with the mentality of sex, because yes, you do have men who have a problem with finding that certain woman attractive. They may have decreased or lost attractiveness for that female, and that's one aspect of it. But a large amount of men are not having that problem where they find her attractive and they find every female walking around attractive. And so they may not have that problem. The problem for them may be the actual blood flow. You have to understand that blood flow is crucial when it comes to having a strong erection. In fact, blood flow can make a huge difference from having a strong erection to just having, a very weak and flaccid erection. So when we're talking about blood flow, we have to understand that the penis is largely composed of spongy tissue. For the most part, we're talking about three areas of the penis that are cylindrical in shape, cylinder-like shaped, that are spongy-like as far as the tissue goes, which will now absorb the blood. You'll see those three cylinder-like shapes that are filled with sponge-like tissue. And when blood flow starts to flow into the penis because of that sexual stimulation, that tissue will now become engorged with blood. When that becomes engorged with blood, that tissue, those cylinders will now expand. And that expansion will now start to press on the veins that are in the penis. Now, veins are responsible for taking blood back to the heart. Arteries are responsible for taking blood to the target organs. And so, of course, in order to have a strong erection, you need to decrease the loss of blood flow. And so by those tissues becoming engorged with blood, is going to press on the veins, which will decrease the blood loss. And so the blood that is going into the penis and the spongy tissue will remain there, because the exit has been cut off because of the engorging of the tissues. And this will lead to a strong blood flow. But in order for us to really understand why erectile dysfunction is happening, we need to understand the actual system that is controlling that blood flow. And this now brings us back to a circulatory discussion, which, I've been hammering on the circulatory system for the past, 7 years. We now get into the system where we're talking about 60,000 miles of blood vessel. Once again, and to understand just how long that is, the circumference of planet Earth is 25,000 miles. And the blood vessels in a human body is 60,000 miles in length. So that means that we have something that can wrap around planet Earth 2.5 times around. Specifically, when we're talking about the arterial system, we need to understand that we're also now dealing with the endothelium. The endothelium, as I've told you before, is the largest organ in the body. I know you probably never even heard about it. The endothelium is the innermost lining of your arteries. The endothelium is responsible for monitoring your blood vessels. It's responsible for causing vasoconstriction and vasodilation. It's responsible for increasing the viscosity of your blood and decreasing the viscosity of your blood. The endothelium is essentially the brain, the operating system for your circulatory system / cardiovascular system as a whole. When that endothelium is working properly, blood will flow where it needs to go upon stimulation at any time. However, when you have a dysfunctional endothelium system or endothelium dysfunction, that will cause dysfunction in multiple parts of the body, including the penis, which will lead to erectile dysfunction. So anything that is damaging or causing harm to your endothelium is overall causing harm to your vascular system. So when we look at something such as erectile dysfunction, you have to understand that the process of allowing the blood to flow into the penis in order to engorge the sponge-like tissue so that you can have a proper, strong erection has been compromised. That compromise is becoming from your vascular system, which can happen in multiple ways. One of the ways that you can have a decrease in your blood flow in general in your circulatory system is because of a decrease in diameter. That decrease in diameter can come from hypertrophy of your endothelial cells. If you haven't seen my other video where I talk about high insulin levels causing endothelial hypertrophy, make sure you watch that video. Insulin is an anabolic hormone, meaning that it makes things grow, it builds things up. And that's fine, except in cases where you have over secretion of insulin, chronic elevated insulin levels, which is unnatural. High levels of insulin will now act on your endothelium, and that endothelium will now receive the signal from the insulin, and that will create hypertrophy. It's going to cause the endothelium to grow. That will cause a decrease in the diameter of your blood vessels. A decrease in the diameter of your blood vessels will now decrease the blood flowing to those target organs. And this is a huge problem because you need blood flow for all aspects of the body. However, when you start decreasing that blood flow, there's going to be signs and symptoms of blood flow being decreased. That sign or symptom can come in the form of erectile dysfunction or not having a strong erection. It may come in the form of a decrease in your kidney filtration rate. It may come in the form of poor wound healing. It may also come in the form of chest pain. And that's where a lot of this is being tied into. And so that decrease in blood flow can also come from the fact that your body has decreased its ability to secrete nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is also something being secreted by your endothelium. When your endothelium secretes nitric oxide, it is considered to be a hormone. And so when insulin is constantly acting on the endothelium, not only will this cause an increase in size, the endothelium will have to become resistant to the stimulation, because if it continues to respond to the stimulation of the insulin, then that size is going to get out of hand. And because the body is intelligent and it doesn't want the endothelium to grow to the point where it's out of hand, it's going to become resistant. When the cells become resistant to insulin, your endothelium cells become resistant to insulin, this will also cause a decrease in nitric oxide production. Nitric oxide is a strong vasodilator. However, if your endothelium cells are insulin resistant, the amount of nitric oxide that is released will also be decreased. And that will now cause your body to not be able to dilate upon demand the way that it should dilate. Also, having thicker blood, an increase in viscosity. So higher glucose levels will cause your blood to become more thicker. When we're talking about viscosity, we're talking about the thickness of fluid. And so high insulin levels usually correspond with high glucose levels. And so you now have a state where the viscosity of the blood is thicker, but you're also making the endothelium thicker because of the high insulin levels. Also, along with the growth of the endothelium because of the high insulin levels, over time, your arteries will become stiffer. And this is not what you want. I mean, you don't want any of this, but you particularly don't want stiff arteries because your arteries are designed to be elastic. They're designed to stretch and recoil, stretch and recoil. That plays a crucial role in proper functioning of blood flow. But also when you look at your blood pressure and you see that top number, which is your systolic, that represents the elasticity of your blood vessels. So stiffer blood vessels that lack the ability to stretch the proper way, your blood pressure may be higher. However, blood vessels which are stiff in a way where it's not allowing the proper recoil, or because the endothelium is way thicker than it should be, you may not be able to recoil the proper way. That's going to be reflected on your diastolic number, your bottom number. And this is why I tell you that high blood pressure is not a disease. You should see that as another diagnostic tool to kind of get an insight to your cardiovascular system, your circulatory system. So back to how poor blood flow will now cause erectile dysfunction. Well, you take a look at all those things we just spoke about. We talked about the viscosity of the blood. We talked about hypertrophy caused by high insulin levels acting on the endothelium cell. We talked about how high insulin levels will cause the endothelium cell to become insulin resistant, which will cause a decrease in nitric oxide. And we also talked about how high insulin levels over time will cause your arteries to become stiff. So when we take all of that, we put it together and we look at it, we're really looking at a state that is not designed to have optimal blood flow. And once again, in order to have a proper erection, you need strong blood flow. But when you put all those things together, you can see that optimal blood flow will not take place. Now, I titled the video how erectile dysfunction can actually save your life. And in the beginning of the video, I told you about how they say the eyes are the window to your soul. And then I said also that the penis is the window to your heart. The reason why I'm saying that is because before someone has a heart attack, a man has a heart attack, they have most likely had erectile dysfunction at least 5 years before the heart attack occurred. Why is this? Well, because the heart and the penis are working off of the same circulatory system. Blood flow is important for the heart. Blood flow is important for the proper erection. When we're talking about erectile dysfunction, we're talking about poor blood flow to the penis. We're talking about poor blood flow to the microvascular aspect of the circulatory system. So we can come to the conclusion that this circulatory system is one system. It's not like it's cut off into parts, and when one part gets affected, the other part is not affected. It doesn't work like that. It's a holistic system. 60,000 miles of blood vessel. One part affects everything. Therefore, erectile dysfunction may be your first sign that you have heart disease. Erectile dysfunction may be the first sign that you are not only having suboptimal blood flow to your penis, you're also having suboptimal blood flow to your kidneys, to your lower extremities, to your eyes, and also to your heart. Once again, 5 years before a male has a heart attack, much of research shows that they've had erectile dysfunction for 5 years before that even happened. And so now we have to look at erectile dysfunction a little different than what we were looking at before. Yes, erectile dysfunction is a problem. Of course it is. But you're missing the forest from the trees if you just throw Viagra on top of that erectile dysfunction. If you just throw supplements on top of the erectile dysfunction, will it improve the dysfunction of erection for your penis? Yeah. If you take Viagra, Cialis, yes, it will definitely cause you to have an erection, a stronger erection than what you were having before. However, you're missing the fact that erectile dysfunction, once again, it's not a disease. The same way that high blood pressure is not a disease. These are signs. What are they giving you the sign? They are signaling you to the fact that something is going on with the circulatory system. The circulatory system is functioning in a very suboptimal way. Yes, you can treat the blood pressure with the medication, and you can treat the erectile dysfunction with the medication, but you're missing the forest. You're missing the bigger issue here. The bigger issue here is that your 60,000 miles of blood vessel is struggling in some aspect that is being ignored, which will continue to progress to something larger, i.e. stroke, heart attack, kidney function, kidney failure. So if you are dealing with erectile dysfunction, don't just see it as a problem with the penis. It's really truly a problem with the heart as well as the kidneys, as well as the eyes. It's a problem with the circulatory system. And it is a problem when you ignore everything else that goes along with the circulatory system and only focus on the erection portion of it. Once again, yes, that is important. But you should now see erectile dysfunction as a sign of more problems going on with the circulatory system. Therefore, if you are going to your doctor for erectile dysfunction, you need to also act about heart health in general, cardiovascular health in general, kidney health in general, eye health in general. So it's not enough to just take Viagra, take some type of supplement to deal with the erectile dysfunction. That is not enough. Of course, you can do that if you want, but now that you've watched this video, you now understand that if you're only focusing on that, you're playing yourself. You're playing yourself because you are missing the larger issue. The larger issue is that you are having a problem delivering blood to your cells. Your penis just happened to be the first sign of that problem that was brought to your attention. And because as men, we pay attention closely to that, we're definitely going to want to fix that problem. Don't miss the opportunity to not only fix that problem, but also stop the progression of the deterioration of your blood flow in general. Men, I hope you understand that. I hope you really grasp what I'm saying as far as how erectile dysfunction is not just a problem with the penis. In fact, it's really not even a problem with the penis itself. It is a blood flow problem. Erectile dysfunction for most men is a blood flow problem. There's nothing wrong with the penis. And you know it's nothing wrong with it because you throw Viagra on top of that situation and women will tell you that they can't get them off them. But so there's nothing wrong with the penis. It is a blood flow issue. But that blood flow issue is not only affecting the penis, it's affecting everything else. It's just that you haven't seen an obvious sign the way you see erectile dysfunction. But here's the thing. You don't want to wait to see an obvious sign of a decreased blood flow to your heart because that's something you may not be able to come back from. Angina, chest pain, heart attack, you can't guarantee that you can come back from that sign. So don't wait for that sign. Your first sign should be the fact that you have erectile dysfunction. Really, your first sign should be the fact that you have high blood pressure. High blood pressure should be seen the same way. This is a sign possibly years before the big sign coming your way. All right, man. I hope you got that. Really think about what I'm saying. If you are taking one of these medications, don't allow that to make you think that you're fine in that area now. Also, don't give into the idea that erectile dysfunction is just something normal because you're getting old. Do not give into that idea, okay? Take that as a sign of suboptimal blood flow, and please, please, please address it, okay? So, this is Edward Williams signing off. I hope this video provided value. If it did, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this out with your family and your friends who would find it beneficial. And like I said all the time, this is our community, our responsibility. We have what it takes. Let's put in the work. Peace.